it to be a vertical live stream, you cannot switch it into the horizontal, and because I've set up the live stream in a horizontal, it just would not go live. So I super apologise. I really hope that you are able to come join me over on this live stream, even though it is a bit late and it's not the link that I'd originally sent. Sorry about that. So we're going to start today because we're going to be doing the live planning of a Disney World itinerary, which is very exciting. I have a whiteboard, which is why I wanted to go horizontal, so that would be more space. So we will make do. I'll put it in front of me when we need to. I'll try and make some space over here. Hi Marta, thank you for joining us. So today we're actually going to be planning out Marta's Disney World trip, which is very exciting. I have already had some of the details from Marta, so like the dates, the amount of days, the things she likes to do, what she'd like to do at Disney World. So I've already been coming up with some notes. So today I am going to talk you through exactly my process of how I would plan out an itinerary, because you do need to have like a good balance of different parks, more thrilling days with some rest days, and then also depending on what's happening in Disney World whilst you are there. So I'm very excited to do this. This is something a bit different. But hi guys, thank you so much for finding this. I'm so sorry for the palaver. It used to be simple. You just went live on YouTube and you had a good time. And they are really messing up their live stream settings, and it's being virtually impossible to get it to go live. So thank you for finally making it over here. I'm really lovely to see you. Hi Philippa. And this is going to be super fun. So what I have done is I have already written out on my little whiteboard is the days that the trip is going to be taking place on. I'm not going to be putting the exact dates because obviously you want to be able to protect when people are visiting. So the very first thing that I want to do is I'm going to get a little pen and I'm going to mark down which days Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party is happening, because if you are visiting Disney World during a party season, whether it's Halloween, Christmas, this will impact the way you plan your schedule. So the first thing we're going to do is put a little dot next to all of the dates where the party is happening, and then this way it will help us plan out the rest of the trip. And it's one of those weird things that might seem like, is it that big a deal? But I think it's important in two ways. One, because it can benefit you, and in another way, it could be a disadvantage. So we've got our little dates now. We know which days are going to be Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party days. I'm just going to take something. Okay, there's something banging on the back of the board and it's driving me nuts. So now that we've got those dates in place, we can start filling things in. Now obviously the very first things we can do are the easy things, and that is stuff like travel day. We know what day people are travelling. So knowing that, you can kind of plan out the first part of the day is going to be travel and then arriving at the hotel, and same on the final day. The final evening will be travel, so we will block them out because it's nice and easy. Now we'd already spoken in advance, and like most people, now I have said this before and it was quite controversial, I always think a trip needs to start in Magic Kingdom. I feel like you need to see the castle. That needs to be the opening gambit. That's what you're doing. A lot of people have said that's not what they do, and they feel very judged that I'm like, you must do that. But me and Marta are on the same lane. So we know that the first 4 day is going to be a Magic Kingdom day. And this also works out perfectly because it is a Wednesday. So I always plan Magic Kingdom days, preferably Tuesday to Thursday, just because particularly Saturdays and Mondays are typically the busiest days in Magic Kingdom. And that is because in the US, a lot of people will do shorter trips, maybe 3 or 4 days, but because the tickets are very expensive, and to have park hopper they have to pay extra, so it's even more expensive. A lot of people don't get park hopper tickets, so what they will do is, say it's a season like this where you've got Mickey's Not So Scary, those days they are not going to the parks, because Magic Kingdom shutting at 6 for them, they're not going to waste a whole ticket on that day. And because they would typically visit on weekends, so Friday to Monday, Saturday to Monday, Saturday and Monday are typically the busy days for Magic Kingdom. So the first day being a Wednesday, iconic. It's worked out perfectly. This is all part of the strategy, which is very, very good. So then, the next thing we want to plan is the following day, and this is also great because Marta's already got something planned for this day, which is Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So because we know in the evening we're going to be doing that, in the daytime it's perfect to do a more restful activity. That's because the party can run late, so you want to get all of that energy, and where it's happening earlier into the trip, you might still have a bit of jet lag. So this is going to be a really, really good day to have a little bit of a restful day. Now, something we all love to do as foreigners is visit Target and Walmart. I don't know how many Americans are coming to the UK and going to Tesco. However, it is essential. So this is going to be a really fantastic day to head to Target and Walmart. Okay. And then you've also got time to relax at the resort. You're just going to be having a lovely, lovely restful day, and then having all of the energy for the evening for Mickey's Not So Scary. So this is like a great first couple of days because you're getting the castle view, you're getting to relax. Heading to Target and Walmart early in the trip is also great because if you want to be getting snacks, if you want to be getting things for breakfast, if you want to be getting water, drinks, anything like that, this is the perfect place to do it. Stock up for the rest of the trip. So I always try and go to a shop within the first couple of days and stock up because I do a lot of solo trips, and this is a solo trip. I take a suitcase with me, which sounds insane, but when you're trying to carry all of these bottles of water, because typically in the supermarkets they sell bottles of water in 24 bottles. That's a lot of bottles. Throw them in a case, they're done, I'm rolling it back. It's absolutely fine. So this is going to be a really, really fun way to start the trip. Now, what I think would be a really good option for the next day is, again, something kind of restful but also fun, because where you've had a late night with the party, you don't want to necessarily be having to get up at the crack of dawn to do a rope drop. So what I would do is do Epcot Food and Wine Festival. Now, if you're going during September, October, and you are going to be having the benefit of both Halloween and Food and Wine, this is a really, really nice combo because you're getting to have, again, a more restful day, but still getting all of the excitement of being in a Disney park, and also getting to sample food and wine and getting to travel all around World Showcase. Hi guys, thank you so much for joining. I've got my laptop set up here so I can see what the comments are. So if you do see me looking back and forth, that's what's happening. Thank you so much for liking the stream. That's so kind of you. And yes, Karen, this will, once the live stream is over, it will then just become a normal video that you can watch, so you can come back to it. So I hope work goes well. Hi Alison, so lovely to see you. And Alison, that's a really good point. You always arrive on a weekend, so Animal Kingdom is first for me, and that is something I super recommend. If you are going to go to a theme park on the weekends, Animal Kingdom is definitely the one. So if you were to fly on a Saturday, the Sunday in Animal Kingdom would be a really good choice because out of all of the parks, that's the one that's least busy on the weekends. So that is absolutely perfect. But I'm going to temporarily put in Food and Wine in Epcot because I think for a little rest day, or like not necessarily a rest day because you are in a park, but for a more fun activity, whilst you might still be a bit sleepy, Food and Wine is great. And the other thing that's good is Food and Wine doesn't start till like 11 AM. So you've got that morning to kind of sleep in if you have had a late night. Because we all know when the party finishes, if it finishes at like midnight, and actually like that's what time the rides will shut. So the final Hocus Pocus show will be at midnight. That finishes about 20 past midnight. Then you've got to leave the park, get back to your resort, and then because you're on such a high, you know you're not going to be going to sleep anytime soon. So there's every likelihood that you might not be asleep till like 2 in the morning. So the fact that Food and Wine, the first booth, won't open till 11, perfect. Because if you've had a little bit of a slower morning the next day, this is going to be a really, really good activity. And whenever I tend to visit a lot in September, and love doing something to do with Halloween, whether it's Mickey's Not So Scary or Halloween Horror Nights, and I will always do food and wine the day afterwards because it just seems like a good plan. Then the next day is a Saturday, and what we want to do is avoid the parks, because Saturday is the busiest across all of the parks because of the US visitors who are doing their shorter trips. So I would suggest on Saturday heading to Disney Springs, and one of the other things Marta wanted to do was get some beignets from Port Orleans. Because you can get the boat from Disney Springs, I think this would be perfect, because you're going to get to go to Disney Springs, you can have a look at the shops, you can get drinks, you can get snacks, you can get food, there's a cinema, there's lots of activities on offer. And then when you've had your fill, you can just get the boat over to Port Orleans and get those beignets, which is super exciting. And then in the evening, you can either hang out at Disney Springs more, hang out at your resort, maybe watch movies under the stars, or if you wanted to, you could go to a park. And that's one of the great things about having the park hopper tickets, is that if you feel like it, you can go. And that's what I like. I think when you're planning a schedule, I always plan out the main part of the day, but there is always flexibility of park hopping and doing things like that, and that's one of the great things. I always think it's great to have a structure rather than a regimented routine because if you kind of over plan, sometimes it can kill some of the fun, because you're just constantly clock watching and panicking. Whereas with this, you've got much more flexibility. So I'm going to also put beignets down, because they are an important part. And the Mickey beignets, everything Mickey shaped tastes better. So it's got to happen. And yes, Marta, it's so handy that with Disney Springs you've got the boat. And it's like a beautiful scenic route, it's really relaxing, so it's just the perfect way to spend a Saturday. And I always love going to the cinema, because I always really enjoy going, whenever I'm abroad, going to a cinema. And there's something about Disney Springs, and what's really nice is when you come home, you're always like, oh, I saw that film when I was at Disney, and things like that. So I do like that it's a whole entertainment, dining and shopping district. Of course, there's lots of Disney shops, which you've got to have a look at all of the things, which is fantastic. And then, because the next day is a Sunday, again, it can be busy. So my thinking is, one of the things Marta wanted to do was the Keys to the Kingdom tour. And that could be fantastic on this day, because on a Sunday, like I say, the parks, again, can be busy. So if you can do activities that don't really have any impact on your day. So if you're doing the Keys tour, that's going to be a fantastic way to spend a Sunday, because it's not going to impact, you're not going to be like queuing for ages for rides, because you're on the tour, you're getting straight on those rides when you do the backstage parts, which is amazing. And then what I would suggest is, after the Keys tour, if you want to hang out in Magic Kingdom, that's perfect. Or you could go back to your resort, have a little rest, and then in the evening come back to Magic Kingdom, because I know Ohana dinner was on the list, which will be amazing. And this would also be a really good day to see the brand new Disney Starlight Parade, which is all lit up, and the fireworks, because, as we mentioned earlier, Mickey's Not So Scary can be a blessing and a curse. When you're visiting Magic Kingdom, typically you want to try and visit on the days where the party's happening, because it's much quieter. However, that does mean the fireworks and the nighttime parade are not happening on those days, because it's a party night. So you do need to have a day during the trip where you could go to Magic Kingdom to watch the fireworks. So it's a normal park day, however it will be busier. So this is going to be the perfect get around, because you're doing an activity where it doesn't matter how busy the park is. Then you can relax, go and have that amazing Ohana dinner, and then come back for the parade and the fireworks. So this is what I would do if I was planning this as my own trip. So we'll carry on with this. And of course, this is totally flexible. I'm not going to be stalking Marta, being like, she didn't go on that day. You could do whatever you like, because it is your trip. But this is my thought process for when I plan out trips, and trying to maneuver the days so that you can get the most out of them, because nobody likes being in queues longer than they have to be. That is a given. Oh, Alison said if the boat closes to Port Orleans due to lightning, you can get the bus instead, which is really, really handy. And that is something that's really good about Disney Springs. You can get buses to all the resorts. It is worth noting the buses don't start super early in the morning. And that's partly for two reasons. One, because the things at Disney Springs don't tend to open till 10, 11 o'clock. And two, to prevent people who are staying off-site from parking at Disney Springs and then getting to the parks. They don't have any buses from the parks to Disney Springs. You do have to go to a resort. But the great thing is, if you are wanting to go to Port Orleans and the boat isn't working, you have that option, which is really, really good. And then you can just get a bus from Port Orleans to a park and then to your resort. So it's super simple, super quick, which is really, really handy. I would just jump on the first bus that turns up, get to whatever park it is, and then transfer on to the next one. So this is where the itinerary for the second part of the trip is a bit more flexible, because the days can switch around. So what I've originally put is that on the Monday, there's the potential for Hollywood Studios or Animal Kingdom. I think Animal Kingdom will be a better bet, because as I say, Mondays can be busy in Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. So I would put Animal Kingdom on this day. That does mean that potentially you could have 2 evenings at Hollywood Studios back to back once you see the rest of the plans. But I'm going to go with this at the moment, and then we could talk about switch things up. So I'm going to suggest Animal Kingdom, just because, again, on a Monday, it will be a quieter park. A lot of US people that visit, if they get the 3-day ticket, a lot of them skip Animal Kingdom, because if they're not getting a park hopper, the rumours about Animal Kingdom being a half-day park are strong. People believe in it. So they're like, if we're going to skip one of the parks, that's going to be the one. So Animal Kingdom on the Monday would be a really, really good option. And what's nice about Animal Kingdom, again, if you've had a bit of a late night from the fireworks, Animal Kingdom does shut at 6 p.m. So it is the earliest opening park. If you've got the extra, it's not called extra magic hours, it's the early park entry, you could go from 7:30, fantastic, but then it does shut at 6 p.m. so you can have a bit of more of a relaxed evening. Again, if you want to park hop, you've got the option. Movies under the stars, going to the resort, anything like that. But you know, you've got, if you're having a late night, sometimes you do need the next day to be a bit more chill. Which is so crazy. Hi Kelly, lovely to see you, thank you for joining. Hi Anne-Marie, lovely to see you. I'm so sorry guys that the link did not work. It was a nightmare, but thank you so much for finding this live stream, because I think it's going to be super, super fun. So the next thing I would suggest is Hollywood Studios. And Tuesday to Thursday, again, the best days. Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom tend to be the 2 busiest parks. So if you can visit them Tuesday to Thursday, middle of the week, that is when they are going to be the least busy, which is always what we want. Now, what I would say is good about Hollywood Studios is there's a few options for the night time, and it's really up to you. But the things I would suggest is one evening doing Fantasmic, because it's iconic, it's so good, and also it has the added benefit of being a nighttime show where you have a seat and you can see it. Which is really great. Who knew that's what we would want? But that's fantastic. And the other option, which I would highly, highly, highly recommend, is, as Marta is a Star Wars fan, is to book the last reservation for Ogre's Cantina. So typically the park will shut at 9, but the last reservation at Ogre's Cantina is about 9:45. You then can be there for up to 45 minutes. You can have 2 drinks, take up this amazing setting, see DJ Rex, have a great time. And then when you leave Ogre's Cantina, there is no one else in the park. Everyone has left. You get the whole of Galaxy's Edge to yourself. You get all of the photos with no one else in. It is an absolute incredible core memory. It's one of my favourite things I've ever done. I'm so glad we did it during the meetup on my last trip. And I think as a Star Wars fan, it's so necessary. So that is something I would suggest. So I'm going to put, for Hollywood Studios, I'm going to put fan/Ogre. And then that way you've got the option of doing either of them, whatever you fancy. the next day it's going to be a jam-packed but super fun day because something Marta wants to do is the 4 park in 1 day challenge, and I think this is going to be really, really fun. It's something that can spice up the trip, and also there's a really good strategy, which is what we're going to talk about. So I'm going to put 4 parks. I don't know if there's any point of me writing on here because I have terrible handwriting, so I'm pretty sure no one can read anything that this says, so I do apologise. But with the 4 park strategy, what I would do is start at Animal Kingdom. This park is the furthest out, and the only way to get there is by bus. And it also opens the earliest. So if you go there first thing, you're getting the challenge off early. I'd love to know, is there something you're going to do, Marta? Because some people will go, I want to do 1 ride in each park. Some people will say, I want to do a ride and a snack. Like, some people will have like a little fun thing they want to do. Other people, they just want to be in all 4 parks in the day. There's no other rules that they're giving themselves. But I'd love to know if you're like, right, if I've got to go on a ride, look in a shop and get a snack, whatever it is, because it's so much fun. Yes, Berlin, that would be amazing. Berlin says if she ever gets to go to a US park, she would love for me to plan it. And yes, like, it's just so much fun getting to plan it all out. And this is the thing, I was literally saying this to someone the other day. Obviously, whenever you go anywhere on holiday, you do some research, right? Because you want to know what you want to do, where you want to eat, stuff like that. But Disney, particularly Disney World, there's so much more planning involved, but the planning is such a fun part of the trip. And like, it really builds up the trip in advance. Even stuff like planning outfits. Obviously, whenever people pack, they kind of have an idea in mind, like, oh, I'm going to take this and this. But in Disney, it's like next level, because people theme their outfits, or, you know, oh, I want to buy some new things for the holiday that I'm going on. And I just feel like that's such a unique part of Disney. And the planning, I get so excited. Like, and this is why it's such a joy doing Most Magical Guides, because, as I said, I get as excited about other people's trips as my own. So all of this is so exciting, because I'm just like, I know what's in store, I know what great time we're going to have, and it's going to be amazing. It's so good. Oh, this is great. Marta has said, I thought of 1 ride per park, and then anything on top of that would be a nice bonus. I think that is an absolutely fantastic way to plan it, because this is another problem, isn't it? Like we said earlier, over planning can totally kill the vibe, because if you try and fit too much in, or you're planning things and you've got a very tight window, it can really, really ruin the day. But starting in Animal Kingdom is giving you a head start because it opens the earliest, and then you can do whatever you fancy. Then what I would actually do, even though it's all the way on the other side, but we'll get to the reasoning, is then head to Magic Kingdom. And then that's going to be a great place to do a bit of like looking around, maybe some rides, or maybe even lunch there. That could be a really, really good option. And the reason we're going there next is because the transport then gets super, super easy. So the downside is, to get to Magic Kingdom, you have to go to a resort and then switch a bus to a bus. However, what you could do is from Animal Kingdom get a bus to the Contemporary Resort, and then it's a 5-minute walk to Magic Kingdom. So I would, at the very least, try and get to one of the monorail resorts, so either the Polynesian or Grand Floridian. But if you don't mind the little walk, get a bus to the Contemporary. That's probably going to be the quickest option. Once you're at Magic Kingdom, you then have the glorious monorail. So you can then get a monorail to Epcot, which is going to be absolutely awesome. You can do whatever you fancy at Epcot. And then when you've finished at Epcot, you're going to go out the back entrance at International Gateway and get the Skyliner over to Hollywood Studios. So that is the order I would do it, just because the transport will be the easiest and take the least amount of time, because it's all kind of piggybacking onto each other. So the only difficult one is getting from maybe Animal Kingdom to Magic Kingdom. But like I say, get to the Contemporary Resort and you're done. And then from then on, all of the fun transport, you've got the monorail and the Skyliner, and they just piggyback onto each other. So it's going to make it much easier to do 4 parks in one day. So I'm going to do the little strategy on here. And this is the other thing that I do think is fun about Disney, and it must be very difficult when you aren't used to all of the acronyms, because when I write my notes, it looks like an alien, because I'm just writing MK, like ADR. I'm just writing all of the acronyms. There's no language going on. So I am going to do AK to MK to EP to HS. Now, we all know what that means, and I feel very sorry for other people because they must be like, what's going on? Maybe one day I'll do a little short breaking down what all of the acronyms are, because if you've never been to Disney World before, it must be nuts when you first start reading or watching vlogs, and it's just like, what is this person saying? It's absolutely crazy. Oh, thank you so much for your comments. It's so kind, guys. Kelly says, you did this with your best friend for your birthday on May the 9th, and you had the whole of Galaxy's Edge. What an amazing way to spend your birthday, and it's just such an incredible experience, isn't it? And what's really nice is the cast members are not rushing you out. In fact, when we were there, they were like, oh, do you want us to take a photo of you in front of the Millennium Falcon? Like, it's so incredible. And if you're a Star Wars fan, it's an absolute must. But what an amazing way to celebrate your birthday. That's like awesome. And the fact that your birthday's so close to May 4th. Everything about it was meant to be. It's so fantastic. I love this, Sydney. You say you pack 8 months in advance. That's the thing, isn't it? It's just so much fun thinking of your outfits. And I have a friend, Chris, and we've been talking for months and months and months, because he's heading to Disneyland in California for the first time later this year. And we've been talking about the sort of outfits he's going to wear, what he's going to be doing, and I think this is such a Disney thing, because I don't feel like, well, I know certainly when I've been on holiday other places, like a couple of years ago I went to Berlin with my best friend, at no point were we going, got to have like a phone call to discuss what we're wearing. We were just going to wear whatever we were wearing, whereas with Disney, it's very important, and it's so much fun. Berlin agrees, the preparation is part of the fun, slowly starting to plan for your birthday trip day by day, what you want to do, and you just bought some cooling towels to take. This is going to be fantastic, because Berlin in July is heading to Disneyland Paris for an amazing birthday trip, but as you're all experiencing, and I hope it's not too loud in the background, because I have got a fan going, the heat wave is no joke. This heat wave, it's not fun. So getting the cooling fans and being prepared is absolutely incredible. Yes, Sydney makes such a good point. When planning, make sure to do a variety of things, such as character meets, shows, dining, rides, sweet treats, resort hopping and shopping. And I think that is such a good point, because today actually I was having a concierge call, and we were actually talking about, that's what's great about Disney, is you could do no rides, because there's so many things to do, but having that variety and mixing it up makes the days so fun and so interesting, because you don't have to be in a queue back to back. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go on a ride, then I'm gonna get a Dole Whip and then see a show, and you're living your best life. It's absolutely incredible, and that's something I like, and I think it's something that is kind of uniquely Disney. I think a lot of theme parks are now starting to realise, oh, we need to add more of those things, and this is why stuff like Muppet Vision shutting down, I'm very sad in general, because I love the Muppets and I wish Disney would do more with the Muppets, but it also, to me, brings something really important to the parks, which is you do need some attractions that you don't queue ages for. Nobody wants to do a 40-minute queue, then a 70-minute queue, then a 30-minute queue, and just be queuing all day long. So you need to have like shows or these attractions like the Tiki Room, Carousel of Progress, where you don't queue for ages, because it gives you that ebb and flow. So again, that's another reason why I think it's sad the Muppets have gone, because it was a great show and you didn't have to wait ages for it, and it gave you that kind of, in a park like Hollywood Studios where it's got a lot of big rides, some of them get long queues, you do need that. But luckily Hollywood Studios has a lot of fantastic shows, and that is something that I think is really, really good. Thank you so much, Jill. That's so kind. That's so lovely of you, and so lovely of you to join us as well. It's lovely to see you, Jill. Yes, Alison! Alison has said, great minds think alike, I would do the same for the full park challenge. And yes, I think having that order just makes it a bit easier, and it means you fit more into your day. And I think it's going to be such an iconic quest to do. I've never actually done the full park challenge, so maybe it's something I need to do as well. I need to get on board. It's going to be amazing. Hi Louise, lovely to see you. How are you? Oh, Kelly was saying her birthday in Galaxy's Edge was absolutely incredible, and Ogres is just so much fun as well, isn't it? Like, amazing fun drinks, just the whole setting is awesome. I love it if people order certain drinks, so you can get a flight, and it's made from bantha teeth, like the cups, and it's amazing, but they start like a chant, and then everyone in the bar starts joining in, and it's absolutely amazing. Or I've had it where all the power's gone out, and they start like banging things, and then the power comes back up, and it's so much fun. Like, I love it. It's just such an awesome experience, and that's why I'm really excited as well for the Beacon Barrel, which is going to be the Pirates of the Caribbean themed bar, which is going to be very similar to Ogres but pirates themed, and I'm like, well, this is going to be exciting. It's going to be so good. Berlin has said she's going to test the virtual queue at Disneyland Paris. I'd love to hear how you get on. I didn't have any success in May, but later this year I'm going to try it again, and now they've added more characters, I'm very excited for that. Philippa, you're so sad about Muppet Vision, and I agree that it's amazing for her to do a lovely quick attraction. And yes, that's the thing, isn't it? You do need that, and I'm really hoping, this is my grand vision, that Rock and Roller Coaster becomes Muppets, right? And at the moment, you've got the brand new Villain show, which I'm very looking forward to. Like, how incredible is that? However, maybe when Villain Land opens, that will switch to a Muppet show, and maybe that part of the park will become Muppets. That would be my suggestion. I'm happy for them to take all the suggestions for free, because we just want more Muppets. Also, I'm really hoping that telepathically they will hear, don't do live action remakes, we're bored of them. However, Muppet remakes, that would be the most incredible thing ever. So I'm really pushing for more Muppets. It'll be so good. Hi Alex, lovely of you to join us. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is the thing. Everyone loves Muppets. Everyone's saying it. Kelly has said you're looking to book for next year. It's your mum's 70th birthday, so you're looking to book movies or pop. How are the rooms for noise? I've heard the walls are very thin. This is the thing that's really interesting. So I typically will stay at a value resort, and I've never had a problem with noise. However, when I stayed at Animal Kingdom Lodge, it was really noisy. So I think part of it is potluck, but what I think is interesting is where the value resorts are blocks. So you'll have multiple buildings, whereas somewhere like Animal Kingdom Lodge or the deluxe resorts are one big building. I found you had people walking past your room constantly at Animal Kingdom Lodge, whereas it seems to be less likely at the value resorts, because people are more like, they're in their individual blocks. You're not having everyone that's staying in the hotel walking past your room. So it's difficult. I've never heard anyone either. So I don't know if I've just been very lucky. So I'd love to hear other people's experiences. What do you think? But yeah, I don't know if it's just potluck, but I've never heard anyone. And I've always been very fortunate. So it's so good. Hi Randy, so lovely to see you. Thank you for joining. All the way from the US, that's fantastic. Hi Zoe, thank you for joining. It's fantastic to see you all. Philippa loves the Muppet Show, and we need to start a petition. We absolutely do. We need to get this going. They need to have the Muppet Show. Can you imagine how good that would be? Randy also says never had a problem with pop or also with noise, so that's really good. And Kelly asks, can you request a room without a connecting room? I've got a feeling you can request them, but I feel like there's not many rooms that don't have them, so it will just be if it's available or not. But something you can do is, if you do the live chat in the weeks leading up to your trip, that's the best way to put in a room request now. You used to be able to fax. And I remember sending a fax in 2018, which even then sounded insane, because I was like, it's not 2005. How am I even sending a fax? So I'm glad no faxing anymore. But you can use the modern live chat, which is brilliant. Marta also said, never had a problem with noise at Art of Animation or Pop, which is really good. Hi Guy, lovely to see you. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us. Anne-Marie says the worst noise you've ever had was at Polly. And yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the deluxe resorts, you're paying so much more, you would imagine that it would be less noisy. But I feel like a lot of people have had that, and I think it's because where they're one huge building, you have everyone walking past your room, and you're just like, I know we're all excited to be at Disney, but we do need to chill out. This is too much. Yes, you're so right, Randy. Who even owns a fax machine? And that's the thing. I'm like, why does Disney still have fax machines in 2018? Like, maybe they didn't. Maybe they just said, fax us your request, and there was never a fax machine. Your request went nowhere. It just went into the ether, which is fantastic. But the thing that would be also great for this day, when you're doing the 4-part challenge, is you then have the option to do the opposite. So if you do Fantasmic one night, then you could do Ogre's Cantina the other night. What I would maybe do is do Ogre's the day before, because it'll be a bit of a later night, and I would do Fantasmic purely because after the 4-part challenge I'd like to sit down. And where Fantasmic is in that awesome auditorium where you have a seat and you can see everything, that could be a really good option. So that would be probably what I would do, because I want to sit down. Then on the Thursday, I have put down either Hollywood Studios or Epcot, and I think it just depends on which park you'd like to spend more time in, because so far we've had a food and wine day, which is also great for doing World Showcase. We've had a full day in Hollywood Studios, and what's good is Hollywood Studios is one of those parks, like I say, it's not big, but it has a lot of popular rides, so you can queue a bit more. I would always say Multipass is worth it for Hollywood Studios, because when I was there, I managed to do absolutely everything that I wanted to do that was included in Multipass in one day. And I didn't even stay till like park close. So you can really get a lot done. So if you were open to that, and the thing that's good is as a solo traveller, like if you're spending $27 or $30, it's not going to break the bank. But if it's going to really massively impact how good your day is, it could be worthwhile. And then on the Thursday, you can either do Epcot or Hollywood Studios, or you could do both, because where you've got the Skyliner, it's so easy to park hop between the two that you could start your day in one, end it in the other, and then you're having a great time. I would also say it also depends if on this day you do Luminous, which is the Epcot fireworks, you then have the option of choosing whatever you want to do on the Thursday, or the other option is to end your day at Epcot so you can see Luminous, and it'll be like the final night, so that would be a really, really nice way to end the trip seeing the fireworks. So I'm going to put down Hollywood Studios / Epcot and then Luminous, because I always think fireworks on the final night has to be done right. You need like to literally go out with a bang. It's going to be amazing. And then what I would suggest on the final day is Magic Kingdom, because I always think seeing the castle on your first day is the best, and then being able to say goodbye to the castle on your final day is the worst. But it's so worth doing. And the great thing is it will be a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party night, so it should be quieter in the day, which is really, really good. Hi Ben, lovely to see you. How are you doing? You just said that your wife and yourself went to Disneyland Paris 2 weeks ago for your honeymoon. My videos were super helpful for you, and especially because because Lauren is vegan. Oh, that's what an amazing honeymoon, and congratulations. What a lovely, lovely start to the summer. Get married, honeymoon in Disney, like absolutely iconic. Did you have the best time? What was your favourite thing that you did? And it's just so lovely, and I think that's something that's so nice about Disney, is so many people go for celebrations, not just trips, and then they become so memorable, these moments, and you will always remember like something that you did on your honeymoon that you loved, and every time you go to Disney now, it will be so special because of that, which is so lovely. So I'm so happy to hear this. What a lovely, lovely start to the summer. Absolutely iconic. It's so good. And yeah, but then like I say, I also think going to Disney anytime. I mean, I'll just make it an occasion. You know when they say I'm celebrating, and I'm like, can you just be celebrating that I'm here? Because I think that's a celebration in itself. But I do love a badge. I do love a pin. If you could get a pin and wear it for anything, obsessed with it. It's one of my favourite things at Disney. It just makes you feel special. I love it. So I'm going to put down Magic Kingdom on the final day, because you've got to say goodbye to the castle, and where it's going to be a quieter day, that's going to be absolutely perfect. So like I say, we've kind of trying to have that balance of doing the parks in a way that you're visiting the days that they are probably the least busy they're going to be, but also having that balance of doing things in the park but then also having rests. And it's interesting because obviously when you have things in mind that you want to do, that also will dictate the schedule. So like with this, wanting to do the Keys tour is fantastic because it's amazing. I would highly recommend everyone do it because it's one of my favourite things I've ever done. I would also really recommend doing the 9 o'clock tour because that's the one I did, and when you get to go backstage, you will be there when they're setting up for the parade, which is very exciting. And we got to see the floats and the characters. It was really, really good. So that's going to be amazing. And because Sunday is a day where the parks are more busy, that's a really great way of combining something you want to do, but making sure that you're getting to do the other parks where you're going to get time to do more. It means you don't have to spend money on Multipass if you don't want, but you're still getting everything that you would like to do done. And once you kind of have an idea of what parks you want to do, then you can start inserting dining. That's the way I like to do it. Some people will, like when I'm booking Disney World dining, a lot of people have started contacting me saying, these are the restaurants we want and you can book them any day and then we'll plan our schedule around that. And I'm always like, I feel like I can't believe the power. But then it's also a bit stressful because I think, oh my god, I need to make sure I'm booking them on the days that I think would be the best to visit those parks. So I would normally do it this way and then insert the dining. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to change my pen colour because we have another pen, so we might as well. And then we can differentiate the dining. But yeah, something I like about Disney World, one, there's so much dining, and what's great as well is there's lots of great restaurants in the park, in the hotels. And because a lot of the hotels are so close to the parks, you don't have to skip over them, particularly when it comes to like Magic Kingdom, because they're so quick to get to on the monorail that it's well worthwhile going to do some of those restaurants. And what's fantastic is Marta wants to do lots of character dining, which I absolutely love. I think character dining is such a great part of any Disney trip. It's a really good way to meet multiple characters at once and combine it with a meal. So we're going to start inserting the dining now, and this is the way I would plan it. So on the first day, one of the meals that Marta wants to do is Crystal Palace, and I would probably do that on the first day because, interestingly, a lot of the restaurants that Marta's got planned happen to be in Magic Kingdom or near Magic Kingdom. So you want to be able to balance them out across your trip and kind of spread them out. I would do Crystal Palace on the first day, and there's two options. You can either book the earliest setting, which is typically, I think, 8 AM. The only downside with that is I would say if you are getting Disney transport and you're not staying at a monorail resort, it might be cutting it fine to get there for 8 AM unless you were to Uber, something like that, because the buses will typically start running about an hour before early park entry. So Magic Kingdom's 8:30 opening, they'll start running about 7:30. So it might be hard to get there for 8. But if you get like an 8:30 booking, you could start your trip immediately in the park. You're getting those shots with no one kind of in front of the castle, and then going straight to the Crystal Palace, which overlooks the castle. The other option is to do it for a brunch. So do it maybe like 10:30, 11, so you can go into the park early. Because you're going to be jet lagged, you're going to be up early and being able to go in the park early. So the other option is go in, get on some rides, get some photos, have some of that experience, and then go and eat something. But I would do that on the first day, because another thing I find, and maybe this is just me, the first 2 days I am so hungry, and I think it's because your body has no idea what you're doing. It doesn't know what time zone it's in, you're sleeping at weird times, you haven't eaten for ages, it doesn't know what's happening. So the first couple of days I am super hungry, so I always think a breakfast on the first day, and if it could be a character dining breakfast, absolutely iconic. It's so good. Oh my god, Ben was saying at Disneyland Paris it was 34 degrees. It's unacceptable, isn't it? It's just too much. We can't cope. We can't do 34 in Europe. It's not okay. It's not that is a lot. But Crush's Coaster was your favourite, and meeting Mando and Grogu, iconic, so fun. And Big Thunder Mountain reopened on your last day, which is incredible. What an amazing way to celebrate, because Big Thunder is the best. It's the best one in the world in Disneyland Paris, and the fact you got to do it on your final day is awesome. Yes, Marta, I'm so glad at the moment you're like, this is good, because like I said, this is not set in stone. I will send all of this to you afterwards, but not like this, like it actually laid out properly so you can kind of see. But hopefully, hearing my thought process behind things, it makes kind of sense. But also you do have other options to switch things around and stuff like that, which is great. Oh, Jill says, this is to see if there is a connecting room and photo of most room views. Oh, is this a website? That's amazing, because it can be super handy, can't it, when you actually, is it touring plans? There is a website where you can see all of the room views, which is fantastic, because it's so handy to see that. I know when I was staying at Animal Kingdom Lodge, it was really helpful to see what parts of the resort had what views, which was really good. And Jill says they also give advice on how to request rooms, which is fantastic. Kelly says, no plans to visit anytime soon, but watching you plan vicariously is so fun. This is the thing, isn't it? It is so fun to plan things out and think like, oh, what would I do if I was going? This is how I'd do it. And it's such a joy. And that's the thing that's been the most amazing thing about Most Magical Guides, and kind of starting the business side of it, has been, it's just such a joy. There's not one day that isn't amazing, because getting to book dining and give people an amazing email to say they've got everything they wanted, or planning out people's itineraries and getting excited about the things that they can do. And like I was saying today, I was talking to a concierge client, and it's fantastic because we've been planning her trip together since November, and then very soon she's going to be actually going. And being on that journey with someone for so long and getting a real good understanding of who they are as a person and what they like and what they're excited for is so fun. So it's just such a joy getting to do Most Magical Guides, so thank you all, it's so wonderful. Randy says, there's no one better to plan your Disney vacation than Miss Sophie. That's so kind, and that's so lovely of you, because Randy is a travel agent. She knows all of the no's, she knows the ins and the outs. So that's so lovely. But we're going to carry on with some more dining, because dining is one of my favourite parts of a Disney trip. I actually think it can be a bit overwhelming, because there's like over 200 restaurants, and it's like, how the heck do you pick? But something that I do is, once I have my itinerary and I know this is how many days I'm going to do Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, etc., I then go, okay, so I need X amount of restaurants in or around Magic Kingdom, in or around Epcot, and that's how I narrow down the dining. Because particularly if you're using Disney transport, you don't want to be going here, there and everywhere, because it can take a long time, and you don't want to take loads of time out of your day just to eat somewhere. So if you could plan to eat close to where you're going to be, that's the absolute best. So this is good. This is a plan. So something else I think would be really fun, and I think it's actually the best carriage dining meal in the whole of Disney World, so I'm so glad you selected it, Marta, is Topolino's Terrace. Such a great restaurant. Being on the roof, well, you're not on the roof, that's ridiculous, you're inside, but the top floor of the Riviera Resort, there is an outside terrace as well. That's why I was thinking about being on the roof, because you can go outside, you can look over the whole of Disney World. It's absolutely incredible. It's a really spacious restaurant, which sounds silly, but when you're meeting characters, you do want to have space that they can interact with you and not be like squashed up against another table. Absolutely love that. The character interactions, they are not rushed. They're really great. There's an iconic song that they play and they all dance around to. Like, and the food is really good. So I always think if you're only going to do one, Topolino's Terrace is really good. And I'm going to plan that for a Hollywood Studios day, just because you can get a bus from your resort to Hollywood Studios, or if you are staying on a Skyliner resort, like Marta is going to be, you can get the Skyliner over to Riviera Resort really easily. And then afterwards you can head to Hollywood Studios again. Of course, you also have the Skyliner at Epcot. However, because that's at International Gateway, if you aren't staying in the boardwalk area in the morning, forget about it, because you'd have to walk all the way through Epcot to get there. So I always recommend, if you're wanting to go to Topolino's Terrace, do it on a Hollywood Studios day, because you can just get the bus or the Skyliner to Hollywood Studios and then get to Riviera. It's super, super simple, and everyone should do it. And of course, we already have an Ohana dinner on that Sunday. It's going to be a great way to start your evening before heading over to the parade and the fireworks. But also, Marta wanted to do Ohana for breakfast, because you're a big Stitch fan, and it's super exciting, because as we all know, I'm not the biggest fan of Stitch, but it's nice when I meet people that are big fans of Stitch, because then they're like, I am excited to go and do this, because I have been to Ohana for breakfast, but it was just after the pandemic, so they hadn't had characters back yet. And I have to say, the breakfast food is incredible. It's probably one of the best breakfasts I've ever had at Disney World. Now, you've also got the benefit of characters being back, and I do feel like one day I will go and do it. Mostly because I want to see Mickey in his Hawaiian shirt. But, you know, I will suck it up. I will speak to the Blue Demon if I have to. Has anyone seen the live action film, and what did they think? I need to know. Should I be watching it? What's happening? But what I think would be a really nice way to kind of end the trip is maybe doing Ohana on your final day. So on your way into Magic Kingdom, because you've got a late flight, you don't have to kind of think, I've only got 2 hours or 3 hours in Magic Kingdom. So what could be really nice is doing a breakfast at Ohana on your final day, getting to meet one of your absolute favourite characters, and then 2 more stops and you're in Magic Kingdom. And where it's a quieter day, it shouldn't be a problem. You're going to have a really, really good time. That is how I would plan the dining. That's what I would do. And I just think getting to meet characters on your final day as well, especially if it's like the ones you love, is so, so cute. Guy says, can you write backwards? It's all reversed. That is something I hadn't considered, because it's very irritating that phones do reverse everything. So this is another thing. Not only is my handwriting terrible, it's also backwards. So I do apologise, guys. YouTube need to sort these live streams out, because this is very stressful. It's not the one. But I love it. It's only 109 days till you go back to Disney World. Very, very soon you're going to be in double digits, and we all know once you get to double digits it flies past. So I'm so excited for you, and again, travelling in this Halloween season is going to be so fantastic. It's so, so good. Oh, poor Marta. It is so sad when it's a goodbye breakfast, isn't it? And it's just like, I refuse to leave. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here forever. It's absolutely it's not fair. And I think that's the thing, like, I would say about 2 days before going home, I can start to feel a tantrum. And I'm just like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. I just refuse to accept I'm leaving. And it's horrible. It's horrible. It's the worst, isn't it? And I think that's the thing, where Disney World is further away and you don't get to visit as often, it does make it harder to leave. Because like Disneyland Paris, it's like, if I wanted to, I could make it work. I could do a little short trip. It's much more affordable. I can get over there. But Disney World, it's just like, oh God, I don't know what's going to happen, when I'm going to be coming back. And that's what makes it so hard to leave. So yeah, I totally feel you. I totally feel you. But yes, but this is what I would kind of do if it was me. If this is what I was doing. And again, I think it's kind of really taking advantage of the quieter days, because then that way you're not having to really spend money on Multipass if you don't want. I always think, if you have the ability to, even if it's just 1 day in Magic Kingdom and 1 day in Hollywood Studios, I would really recommend it, because those parks really benefit the most from it. And even if you do it for just 1 day, you'll be able to get so many of the rides done that it means on your other days you can enjoy the entertainment And then, of course, every ride you get on is fantastic, but you're not thinking, oh my god, I might not get on everything that I want, which is good. But this is the other reason why it's nice that we get to visit for a bit longer, because you have enough time to do everything. It's not like you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to pick half the things that I want to do and hope for the best, which is great. But I do think, and again, with solo trips, because obviously you're paying for just yourself, paying that $27 or $30, whatever it is, for maybe 2 days out of your trip, I think it's definitely worthwhile if you can do that, to put it in the budget. Animal Kingdom and Epcot, it's not so worthwhile. Interestingly, I think Epcot is going to change a lot, because I did a video, I think it was last year, all about the strategy if you're using Multipass and rope drop, and all of the parks are staying the same apart from Epcot. And I am going to do a video soon, because Guardians now doesn't have a virtual queue anymore, so a lot of people are rope dropping that, which then means you have to be more strategic with your Multipass selection. However, with Test Track now opening, that's going to throw in another tier 1 ride, and you can only pick one, so you're now going to have Frozen, Remy and Test Track to pick from as your tier 1. But I do have a plan, I do have a suggestion. In fact, I've got a few different options depending on the way people are going to visit. So I'm going to do a video too soon about how Test Track reopening will impact your kind of rope drop Multipass strategy for Epcot. Because it's interesting. However, I don't think it's necessary. If you're going really, really high season, when it's really busy, I would do Multipass at least once for every park, just because you'll get so many of the rides done in those days that any other days, everything's a bonus. But at a time like this, a time of year where hopefully it's not like filled to the rim, and it absolutely shouldn't be, then they're not necessarily. And the days you're going, it's absolutely fine. Don't worry, it'll be all good. Kelly says, are you planning to go back? So that is obviously the absolute dream. So just keep your ears peeled for any future announcements. Yeah, it's just the best, isn't it? Like, Disney World is the best. And the thing is, I think all of the Disney parks are super special, but I do just have an absolute love for Disney World. There's just something about it, and it's weird because I love all of the Disney parks, and I do find it hard to pick what's your favourite, but there is something about Disney World that makes me feel like I just love it the most. I just can't help it. Although I have to say, Disneyland Park, I'm obsessed with it, because you've got the roaming characters, the history, but there's just something about the feeling of Disney World that I'm just like, I get so excited about it. So yes, do keep your ears peeled, because you never know when there might be a surprise announcement that comes out, which will be amazing. Marta says you're definitely going to try Multipass for maybe 2 or 3 days, and yes, like it definitely makes a big difference, and I could totally see, if you're a bigger group of people, how it can be super expensive, because if you're paying $30 but there's 4 or 5 of you, that's very quickly expensive. However, it's one of those things where I think sometimes there's kind of this one-size-fits-all approach to budgeting at Disney World, and you'll see videos that are like, don't spend money on this, or focus on that. And I actually think the way to make the perfect budget for you is to work out what areas of your trip are most important and what you'll be happy to spend more money in. So it could be that you want to do Multipass, and then you'll do an economy flight, so that you'll save money on the flight, but then you'll have some money to play around with Multipass. Or it might be that you want to do an upgrade on the flight, because the comfort of that is more important, but then you don't need Multipass. So it all depends on the way you like to visit. And I feel like that's something, again, that's really nice about most magical guides, is the fact that there's a lot of conflicting information and it can be very confusing of what's good to do. But kind of getting to speak to people and finding out what's important to them, and then being able to tailor advice to how they like to visit, and like what's the best way to head to the parks. Do you need Multipass or not? If you want to splurge in this area, what other area could you cut back in? It's really, really nice, because I think to me, the most important thing is having the best experience. And knowing which areas to spend and splurge in and which ones you can save in makes you have the best possible trip for you, because you know that area, that's important to me, so I don't mind spending a bit more in that, and then I'll save money in other areas. And I think that's the way to do it, because some of the advice is wild, and I'll hear it and I'm like, huh? And I know it's different for everyone. But I'm just like, what is this? It's nuts. Guy says, if you could do it, go for Multipass. You've got so much done, and your daughter's not good at waiting in long queues. And I think that makes such a good point, because that's the thing, no one wants to spend hours and hours of their day in long queues. And it's that horrible thing of, if you wait in an hour long queue and then you go to the next ride and you're like, oh, I've now got to spend 50 minutes waiting, it becomes hard on your body, because like standing on the spot for a long period of time, it's not fun. It can take some of the enjoyment out of the day. So if you can go, do you know what, I'm going to spend a little bit of money and the queues are going to cut down significantly. Like, I know obviously September is not such a busy time of year, but whenever I've used Multipass, mostly it's walk on. Some rides you might wait 10-15 minutes, but the difference that makes is huge. And I would say, I think the regular Multipass is absolutely fine. I don't think you have to get Multipass Premier. The only difference between regular Multipass and Premier is that regular Multipass, you obviously book time slots. Premier, you don't have to do that. However, Premier is about 10 times the price. So if you, again, you want to really splurge and you're like, do you know what, I don't want to have to be thinking about which tier 1 ride to pick and which tier 2 ride to pick, and you've got the money, doing the Premier, perfect. However, the $30 version, I think is great. And like, the strategy I used, or the one I found worked the best, because when I went in September last year, it's when they kind of changed to Multipass. So I was like, how different is this to Genie? What's the best strategy? So I was trying a few different things out. And the strategy I found worked the best. Sounds nuts, but what I did is, when I was pre-booking my rides, I would always pick the tier 1 ride that I wanted to do the most, and then the 2 tier 2 rides I wanted to do the most. And by getting them booked in, it's brilliant. Now, some of them were rides that are super popular. So say, for example, Hollywood Studios always book Slinky. Always book Slinky, because that often will sell out in advance and there'll be no more reservations throughout the day whilst you're there. So I would always book Slinky as the top pick. But what's great is, once you get into the park, there's no tiers anymore. The system is gone. You can just book anything. So when you're pre-booking, try and book as early in the day as possible. And then once you've scanned into your first ride, you can book another ride. What I then do is look at which rides are later in the day. And this is the part that I think people think is nuts, but bear with me. Because basically, the rides that are later in the day are the most popular. They are going to sell out first. So if you can get a reservation for them, what will happen is, once you've booked a few in, you will have either already ridden the big rides or have a reservation coming up for the big rides. It'll get to a point in the day, maybe around lunchtime, early afternoon, where you will then have one slot become free, where you can just go on all of the Multipass rides that have very short waits. And normally it's just, you turn up now and can go on it. And then you can blast through them for the rest of the day. And that means you're going to get the most out of Multipass. I think sometimes people will go, the natural inclination is to say, right, I am going to scan into this ride and then I'm going to look for the ride that I'm maybe most interested in, or the one that's closest to here, something like that, or maybe even the next available time slot. But what will then happen is those super big popular rides will sell out. And the downside with Multipass, I would say, is that once rides sell out, that's it. Occasionally, they may release a few more at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That's going to be something that's going to be really important in Epcot, when they do this extra release of reservations. And it's always worthwhile checking, because people do cancel their reservations. So throughout the day, you can go, you know, if you've got a reservation for Tiana's Bayou Adventure and it's not until 4 o'clock, do occasionally check. And if someone's cancelled, you might get to go on it at 10 o'clock, something like that. But yeah, the strategy I found worked the best is book for the rides you want the most, and then the rides that are later, and then you're going to get through all of them in a day, which is so fantastic. And I do like that they do have shows included as well. So somewhere like Hollywood Studios, where there's less rides, but there's a lot of shows, you can kind of book a lot of the rides, and once you've got them either done or booked in, you can then switch to the shows, which is fantastic because you then don't have to get there super early. You know you've got a guaranteed spot, and you can just turn up and go in, which I absolutely love, because anything to save time, anything to be efficient, I think it's so worthwhile. Randy also agrees, like, if you could do Multipass, absolutely do it. And yeah, it makes such a difference. And it is that thing, isn't it? When we've had something for free with FastPass, it is annoying to pay for it. But it's that difficult balance, isn't it? Because Disney World have done it so that Multipass is actually kind of affordable. If it is $30, it's not out of everyone's reach. Whereas somewhere like Universal, for example, even the cheapest express pass is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and that works in a way because it means far fewer people buy express passes because they're just so expensive. So then it's good because if you have a express pass, you've got that great experience because there's much shorter queues. But I do think, like I say, Multipass works quite well because the queues aren't that long, even though more people are buying it at a more affordable rate. So yeah, I think it's interesting. Guy says, I had booked Disney World nearly 12 months in advance, so made little changes to lifestyle over the months before going. I had the money for Multipass. It gave us more time to enjoy the vibes. And I think that's the way to do it, isn't it? If you know, like, this is going to be important to me, and you can go, I've got 12 months, 10 months, whatever it is to save up, it makes such a difference. And yeah, it's just so nice because I really think it does positively impact your trip. I know I've definitely felt it, and especially with my foot. The first year that I had the real problem with my foot was when you could still buy Genie Plus for the length of your stay, and it was only $6.99 a day. It was amazing. So I already had that booked in, and then when I went September last year, although my foot was in a lot better place than it had been, I didn't want to trigger it. So having Multipass, I think I had Multipass for 8 days out of the 14, and it helped massively, and it was so worthwhile. So again, it's anything. If you don't enjoy being in the heat, if you don't enjoy queuing, like, because the thing that I think is really interesting as well is everyone would also have a different tolerance for queuing. So like, I realise I have a very low tolerance for queuing. So like, I was visiting with some people once, and we went to, I think it was something like Toy Story Mania, and it was like a 55-minute wait, and people were like, oh, that's not bad. And I was like, on what planet is that not bad? That sounds bad to me. Bad. Very bad. So it all depends, again, on your tolerance for queuing, because I can't, like, the idea of doing a 55-minute queue and then another 55-minute queue and then a 40-minute queue, I can't cope. So Multipass is always worthwhile. Oh, thank you so much, Guy. That's so kind of you. That's so lovely. Thank you so much. I'm super appreciative. And I love the message as well. So just so you can get back soon, which is fantastic. Thank you so much. And Alison, you say embrace the queue. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, different people will have different priorities. So where I'm just apparently very impatient, I'm like, I'll pay for the Multipass. But if you're happy and comfortable and you're like, do you know what? I don't mind a bit of a longer queue because we're in the air conditioning, we can catch up, we can chat, we can make plans, then you don't need it, which is great. I'm loving this. Everyone's saying my limit is 30 minutes. My tolerance is 30-minute max. Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like I can do 30 minutes. And then, but to be fair, I feel that's like a ride that I really want to do. For a ride that, like, I'm trying to think, like, Dumbo. I can't be waiting 30 minutes to go on Dumbo. Dumbo's got to be less than 30 minutes. Or else we're skipping Dumbo. He's not getting ridden today. He's not going to go little fly with his little hat on, being all cute. He can, just I won't be with him. But I actually saw, last time I was there, they had one of the Dumbos wasn't working, and he had a little, like, costume on. I mean, it wasn't a costume, it was just a piece of cloth. But they've made it look very fancy. And it said something like, I'm flying solo, because he wasn't working. And I was trying desperately to get a photo of it, because I was like, this is iconic. As a solo traveller, I need them to start selling this as merchandise. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Different rides. It's like we were all talking about Peter Pan. Why Peter Pan is one of the most busiest rides in every single park, I have no idea. I'm not waiting an hour to go on Peter Pan. I'm not waiting 40 minutes to go on Peter Pan. Like, you're very cute. I love it. It's adorable. I'm not waiting a long time for it. Whereas other rides, I'm like, something like Rise of the Resistance, I'm like, I feel like this is worth waiting for. Especially because so much of the queue is part of the experience. And that's the other thing I would highly recommend, Marta. What I did was, when we shut down Hollywood Studios by going to Ogre's Cantina, beforehand we headed over there, and Rise of the Resistance had only a 30-minute queue, and we were like, this is absolutely brilliant, this is awesome, because obviously it was just as the park was shutting. However, we waited 10 minutes. So often you will find at night, the posted wait time is super inflated to put people off getting in the queue. So I would say if there's any rides that you're thinking about rope dropping, but then maybe it looks too long and you're like, absolutely not, try the very last thing in the evening, because it tends to be a lot shorter then. And it's stuff like Guardians. Now, a lot of people are rope dropping Guardians at Epcot, and if you look at the data, there's a really good website called Thrall Data, and they give you so much information about what time lightning lanes are selling out each day. You can look in specific parks, even specific rides. You can see the average wait times, etc, etc. The data is showing that rope dropping Guardians is still the best option for the lowest wait time. However, I would say if you're not one of the first people there, it can still get a super, super long wait. So possibly doing it at night is another good option. So it's all of these little decisions you have to make. Randy says, I'm either solo or with your husband, so splurging on passes, but if I had the whole family, no ma'am. And I think that's another thing, isn't it? Like, if you are one or two people, it's not such a big deal, but once you are a bigger group, it can become unbelievably expensive. And when you think about over the cost of your entire trip, it can be very prohibitive, the cost. And then something that's good in Epcot, which is what I'm going to add into the strategy, is things like single rider. So Remy's Ratatouille Adventure and Test Track, I'm assuming Test Track is going to still have a single rider queue. If you're happy to do single rider, you can skip over them, do single rider for them, and then that means you can rope drop Guardians and Multipass Frozen, and then you've got your plan sorted. So that could be a really, really good option. I wish there was more single riders in Disney World, because there's very few, there's not many. Definitely way more in Disneyland Paris than Disneyland. But in a park like Epcot, it becomes a saving grace to have those rides that have single rider, because they both get very, very popular. So that's really good. And you do have the unofficial single rider for Rise. They reopened it whilst I was there, which I was so happy about. And it's still going. However, it's not officially listed as a single rider attraction. So I don't know if they're still testing it almost a year later, but hopefully it will just stay, because that is another one. However, I would say you do miss out on some of the pre-show. So I would never ever do that if you've not been on the ride before. It's only if you've been on it and you don't mind missing some of the pre-show. And the pre-show is so cool. Alison says, to be fair, I've never had to queue more than 40 minutes, and that was for Slinky Dog and Rise of the Resistance and Avatar Flight of Passage. And that's amazing, actually. 40 minutes, that's fantastic. Because when it's like that, you don't mind, do you? Because it isn't going from excessively long queue to excessively long queue, and that is doable. So that's really, really awesome. And you've obviously got a really good strategy, because you're managing to find a way to ride with very short queues, which is great. And that's the other thing, I think, if you're visiting a park more than once during your trip, and there's a ride and all day long, it's really, really long, you can always save it for the next day, because the next time you visit it, there may be far shorter queues, or at least you know what to expect. But it's always that thing of, like, I had a day in Epcot where Living with the Land, I actually waited 35 minutes, which That never happens. And I was like, what is this? And then the next time I went, it was less than a 5-minute wait. And it's the same trip. So it's just really all of these little variables. Karen says, I love your channel, first time on live. I agree, no long queue times, however I enjoy enough time to enjoy the Disney extras in the queue. And that's such a good point. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for coming to your first live. That's absolutely amazing, and for such a lovely comment. And I think you're so right, something Disney do well is the theming of the queues, and that is something I sometimes find. So something like Toy Story Mania, when you do the Multipass or the Lightning Lane queue, you miss Mr. Potato Head. So there are those things that you will miss out, and it is nice, like you say, to kind of be able to go, oh, we've got a bit of time to be in the air conditioning, to plan out our day, maybe mobile order some food. You do have those moments when you are in queues, so it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? But that's another thing I love, mobile ordering. Obsessed with it. It saves so much. Anything where I can skip a queue, I'm all for. But I think it's great when you're in a queue thinking, well, this queue's like 30 minutes long. By the time I get off, I'm probably going to be hungry. I'll mobile order some food now, walk over there, have some lunch. I think it's so good. And I do have to say, I really love the Disney World app. I think it's fantastic that there's so many things you can find in there, whether it be mobile ordering, Multipass, seeing the ride wait times, using the map to find places. I also love the search option, so if you want to meet a character and you can't find them, you can just type their name in and it'll tell you. Or even stuff like finding restrooms. If you just type in restrooms, it will tell you how to find them. Like, it's so helpful. And I feel like it's one of those things that, because there's so many things it can do, probably the first time people ever use it, it might be a bit overwhelming, because it's like, there's so many things you can do. But I think once you get a hang of where the layout of everything is, it's invaluable, and you can kind of do everything from just the app, which is so good. But although I will never use it, like, I always joke, I don't know if you've seen that meme that says, I am the map. And I'm like, yes, I am the map. I don't need the map. I will never look at the map function. I am the map. But it's always nice when new things open. Or at the moment, because there's loads of construction happening with updates, it'll be interesting to see if there are different pathways that are shut. And if that's true, then you'll need to find alternative routes. So having the map might be actually quite helpful. But something I do have to say is that even though things are shutting, I think it is good that there's also been new things that have come this year. So even though, obviously, some parts of Dino Land have shut, It's Tough to Be a Bug has shut, we know Tom Sawyer and Rivers of America is about to shut. The fact that you have the new Disney Starlight Parade in Magic Kingdom, like, you've lost one thing, but you've gained something new. And then, like, the fact that you've got the new, like, Geo 82 Lounge in Epcot, the fact that you're getting the new villain show. Like, there's loads of little things that are coming. So, like, Muppets have shut, but we've got the villain show. Like, I do think it's nice that there is a balance, because I think when loads of things shut and there's nothing to replace it for a long time, you really notice the lack of things. Whereas I think what's nice is if you're visiting this year or next year, even though some things are now shut, you're still going to have new things to experience. So I think they've done that really well. I think that's something Disneyland Paris needed to have done. But it is good to now start to see some things at Disneyland Paris come to fruition. And the things that have opened are looking great. So I think that's a really good sign. And hopefully in, like, the next year, I've heard a lot of people starting to say they think the World of Frozen is going to be open in January. And I'm like, surely not this January, because it looks, there's a lot that still needs to be done. Because I think we forget that once the final lick of paint has been put up and the final tile has been installed, they then have to do months and months and months of testing. So that would mean they would have to pretty much be finished with construction within the next couple of months, which I don't think is the case. When I was there in May and I went on the parachute drop and I got a partial view, even though the pole was in the way, nothing looked complete. Nothing was ready to go. So I can't see it happening this January. I would be very surprised if it did. I would imagine it would be the end of next year, honestly. But maybe, I don't know, maybe they're just going to suddenly do loads of construction all at once. But it does feel like Disney World is much quicker, and I don't know if that's just a cultural thing. I know that in France there is a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape. Anytime there's a minor change, it has to go back and get reapproved, and it takes ages and ages and ages. So it does feel like that does slow things down a lot. So hopefully all of the things in Disney World will come a lot quicker. I think at the moment everything is scheduled to be finished by 2030, which is pretty impressive to think that in 5 years' time everything they announce is going to be finished. But how exciting for us. There's going to be so many new things I can't wait for. Randy says construction in March was madness in Disneyland Paris, and yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it? And I do think the thing that's interesting is that if you don't know, so say you don't watch any vlogs or you haven't been, you wouldn't know that it's happening, because Disney don't really promote that Disneyland Paris is massively under construction. So I feel really sorry for people that don't know and they just turn up and they're like, what is all of this? I think there was a big difference between when I was there in January to May. There was way less construction walls, and you could start to see things progressing. And I think that's the thing that's been difficult, is for a long time, for years, we've just had construction walls. And now you're suddenly starting to see the progress, and you're like, oh, okay, now it feels like it's getting somewhere, which is good. I am so excited to go back, and the awning for Casey's Corner now be finished. That is one of the things I'm most excited for. But I do think it's going to be really interesting to see in Magic Kingdom what like the whole Rivers of America is going to look like. Although, have we seen the artwork? Have you seen the artwork for Piston Peak, which is going to be the Cars Land? Because there's still a river. So it does look like part of Rivers of America is going to stay. And I think that's going to be great, because it gives such a calmness to the park. And like we were saying earlier, you don't want everything to be queues and rides. You want some things that are attractions, some things that you can just walk into. And you do need in the parks that ebb and flow, like some parts that are calmer. And I think the river was such a calm area. And it looks like from the artwork that we are keeping part of the river, which I think will be great. And Piston Peak does actually look really good. It's going to be lovely. Yes, Alison, you're so right. Disneyland Paris don't cover up their construction anywhere near as well as Disney World. And I totally agree. Like, Disney World do really try and disguise it, or make, you know, the construction walls be like photo walls. Disneyland Paris, and also Disneyland Paris do not stagger things. Like, they've been building World of Frozen for about 7 years now. If I was in charge, I would have gone, right, year one, whilst in Walt Disney Studios Park, we won't be able to see any construction. Any updates we need to do in Disneyland Paris, do it then. So that only construction's happening in Disneyland Paris, people won't notice it elsewhere. Then, let's do some of Disney Village, get that out of the way. And then when it's going to massively impact Walt Disney Studios Park, the other two areas are already going to be done, and it won't be so bad. It feels a bit like, you know, when you leave your homework to the last minute and then you're rushing to do it. That's what it feels like at Disneyland Paris at the moment. Like, they're like, oh no, we've left the construction to the last minute and now we're rushing to do it. But hopefully it's just going to be like a year more. And in that time, obviously, more and more construction walls will come down. But yeah, it's just crazy. Guy has said Cars Land looks great, glad they will keep some water. And yeah, I think that artwork looks amazing. And I think the ride's going to be really good, because it feels almost like a blend of Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers. It feels like one of the rides is going to be kind of like that, and I think that's going to be really fantastic, because they're both really good rides that people love. And I do think that, I know initially people were a bit like, oh, how's Cars going to fit into kind of like Frontierland? Because obviously Frontierland is supposed to be like back in the day where people had horse and wagon and stuff like that. But when you look at Piston Peak and the way it's done and how it's almost like a national park, it does look like it's going to be a nice blend. They're going to make it seamless. And, you know, Disney are famous for being able to merge one land into the next. So I do think it is going to be really, really good. Randy says, I'm still so sad to lose Tom Sawyer Island. It was a perfect escape from the crowds. And that is so true, because you do need that little bit of like tranquility and calmness. So it is so sad. But I'm wondering if they will incorporate some sort of picnic area or something into Piston Peak. Because again, where it's got like a national park feel, they could absolutely do that. So that would be really, really nice. Marta, you're saying you can't wait for the Villains Land. I'm so excited for that. And they've announced some more details kind of about the big ride is going to be a roller coaster, which looks absolutely incredible. We saw in the artwork like bits of a coaster track in like the vines outside Maleficent's castle. So I do think that's going to be amazing. It's also going to be really interesting to see during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party down the line how they incorporate Villains Land, because obviously it's going to be part of it. So I think that's going to be absolutely amazing. Cannot wait for that. Something I wanted to mention actually is I always put out, if anyone has any questions before the live stream, do let me know. And Alison had a fantastic question, which is, what is your earliest Disney memory? And the reason I loved this question is because this is the most 90s thing that could have happened, which is amazing. So I went to Disneyland Paris the year it opened. So that was the first time ever going to a Disney park, and I was 5. And we went to go to the swimming pool in our hotel at Disney, and they said, you can't come in, it's closed. And we were like, why? And they said, because Michael Jackson and Bubbles the chimp are in the pool. And I was like, this is the most 90s thing that's ever happened to me. It was absolutely incredible. So I was like a door away from Michael Jackson at one point. And the fact that he had Bubbles the chimp at Disneyland Paris, absolutely iconic, which is so cool. But Guy has a really interesting link to Disneyland Paris because his brother was actually an opening day cast member. And I don't know if you've seen, I actually have a short on YouTube. He was so kind to have gifted me. Everyone that had a role as an opening day cast member got an amazing Letterman jacket as a commemorative piece, and Guy was super kind enough to gift it to me, and I've got it kind of displayed in my room upstairs. And what an amazing piece of memorabilia. It's so cool. So I do love all those like 90s Disney vibes, because it was definitely, it felt like peak Disney, like the style of the animation then. Obviously you kind of had the Renaissance, so you had all of these iconic films, the parks were expanding all across the world. Like the 90s was just a great Disney era, which is so fun. Alison, I love the way you've got the like sunglasses, the cool emoji, and yeah, I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened. This is, and actually this isn't specifically a Disney memory, but it kind of is. A few years later I went to Disney World for the first time. I think I was 7 then, and one of the things that happened was the outlets, and this was back in the glory days when you got $2 to the pound, and also everything was much cheaper in America, so it was ridiculous. Everything was a steal. But something happened to me, and to this day it's one of my proudest moments. We went to the outlet and I got bought trainers that lit up. Now I came back to the UK. These didn't exist in the UK, and this was back in the day where things would come out in America and it would take like 18 months to a year to it to come over here. And for a whole year I was going to school with light up shoes and no one had them, and I was the coolest person. And to this day it still makes me excited to think about those light up shoes. And I would love light up shoes for adults. I think it's a shame we don't have that anymore. I think we should bring that back. But yeah, the glory day of the $2 to a pound was amazing. Although at the moment the thing that's great is the dollar is struggling, so it's kind of good for us, because I think at the moment it's something like 1.38, which it hasn't been that high for years. I think when I was there in September it was 1.24, so it's gone up a lot, which is fantastic. Hi Leslie, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Kentucky. How hot is it at the moment? Because we are having a heat wave over in Europe and it's unbearable. But I'd love to know how hot it is for you. How are you doing? But yeah, great memories, Alison. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like Disney, it becomes so tied to, like you totally remember like the age you were when you visited and the thing that specifically happened and the memories you have. And I also love that Disney's generational. So like when I was 13 we went back to Disney World, and it was my grandparents and my parents and me, and it was like so nice that there's 3 generations. And I was desperate to go on the Tower of Terror because the previous time I was there it wasn't there. Desperate to go on that, and then my family went on it apart from my dad, he was too much of a chicken. and nobody liked it apart from me. And I was like, I want to go again, I want to go again. And then they decided to pick the oldest member of my family, my granddad, to go on it with me again. So I'm so glad he took one for the team. And it's just so nice to have those memories, isn't it? And it was actually really nice earlier this year, because I had, from my very first trip to Disney World, my nan had taken a camcorder. So I had a VHS tape of our trip, and then I had that transferred onto a USB. And I did a little edit of the Disney parts of our trip, and it was so nice seeing Disney back in the day, and stuff like the Skyway, which used to be like the cable car system in Magic Kingdom, and like 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and just seeing how quiet the parks were as well comparatively was wild. And it's so nice to look back on the memories. Leslie has said it's been over 100 degrees with the heat index for several days now, hoping it'll cool down soon. Yeah, that's not the one, is it? That is absolutely wild. It feels like there's a heat wave going on everywhere at the moment. I know that Southern Europe is supposed to get absolutely insane, like up to like 45 upwards, and I'm like, nope, nope, nope. Do you remember the Chicken Run exits on rides? What are these? This sounds fun. What are Chicken Run exits? I need to know. I need to know. I know one of my most favourite rides of all time, which made no sense in a Disney park whatsoever, but was the alien encounter. Obsessed with that. That was absolutely terrifying, but absolutely incredible. There was also another ride that was really similar to that, where there was like, I remember there was like a bumblebee, and like, I don't know if it was someone like shaving, but again, it was all of those like really intense sounds in your ears, and it felt like there were people next to you and you were like, this is horrible. But I love that they were doing all of these wild rides that like, had nothing to do with Disney. But that's something that's really interesting. How do you feel now about Disney moving towards IP? So most rides now are based on films that they have, like instead of original ideas like, you know, like Pirates or you know, Carousel of Progress, or all of those rides that used to be just designed by Imagineers. We've now moved towards IP. And how do you feel? Do you like that there are rides themed to movies, which is great because if you like the movie, it's nice to have a ride? Or do you miss having some of those original rides? Because I do miss the kind of, like, I think it's fun now. Sometimes I'll visit with people and talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, and they have no idea that the ride came decades before the films. So it's so interesting to kind of see, and like now, like you've had the Jungle Cruise film, so it's nice that they're starting to make films based on the rides. I know they're going to do a Scarlett Johansson film to do with Tower of Terror. That should be interesting to see what that's about. Oh, Alison said, if you had decided you were too scared for a ride or just wanted to queue with your family, you could exit what was called the Chicken Run. That is iconic. That is iconic, and we need to bring that back. That phrase needs to be in everyone's vocabulary. That is fantastic. And I do actually think that is something that's good about Disney, is if there is a ride where you're really keen just to experience the queue, or like you say, you want to queue with your family but not go on the ride, you can duck out. But we need to start saying chickening out, use the Chicken Run. You've decided you're not brave enough, you've got to go. I remember hearing a lady once saying they were queuing to go on Tower of Terror, and then her kid panicked and she was like, okay, me and her won't go on the ride. So they asked a cast member, but then they got taken into an elevator anyway, and they were like, oh no, oh no. But it was not obviously the elevator of the ride, but they probably panicked. So they were like, oh no, we're still going on the ride. But I think that's very, very fun. But they need to bring back the Chicken Run. I'm hoping they're going to do another series of Behind the Attraction, because I love that. I love getting to hear about the history of the rides, like how it was built, hearing from the Imagineers. It's so cool. Guy was in Disneyland earlier this year, and they bumped into Tony Baxter, the iconic Disney Imagineer, and I'm like, how cool to actually see and meet in real life a Disney Imagineer that's kind of made these iconic rides and parks. So I just think that's really, really cool. And yeah, I think what's interesting is I've been reading a lot about Epic Universe, and a lot of Disney Imagineers that were made redundant during the pandemic switched to Universal. They were snapped up by them, which is why Epic Universe is much more immersive in theming than the other Universal parks. So I think that's really, really interesting. I love hearing all about how they come up with the ideas. And actually, in the pandemic, admittedly, it was a course for children. But there was a course you could do online that was free, and it was designed by Imagineers to get kids to be imaginative about how they would plan a Disneyland, a land for a Disney park. Now, I'm not saying I manifested it, but I created a villain's land. And it was great, because it was even stuff like, what scent do you want pumped into the land so that it's really immersive for people. And the amount of detail Disney do is amazing, and it feels like Epic Universe is the first attempt of a different theme park brand to try and have more immersive parks like Disney. But it's still, I don't think it's ever going to be the same level, because to be frank, I feel like if Disney were to open a fifth gate now, it wouldn't be the same level of immersion. I think it's just so expensive, they don't have the money. So because they've always been ahead of the game with it, they've been very lucky. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But also, if you do have any more questions about itinerary planning, because I realise I've just gone completely off topic now, just talking about absolutely everything. But I do love the itinerary planning. It's just so fun, because it's like a puzzle to put together, right? You have to work out what things you want to do, what park's the most important and you might want to spend more time in. Then you have to juggle it with what's going on. So if there's like a Halloween party, then you have to juggle it with like what's the best day of the week to visit. And I just think it's so fun, because when I was originally kind of working on this itinerary, I had maybe 3 or 4 other versions. And then it's like, oh, actually, that wouldn't work because this, or oh, that would be too many days in that park, too close to each other. So I do love that there is a lot of like mental gymnastics that you have to do to come up with a great itinerary. And it's interesting because you don't need to do that for all Disney parks. Like Disneyland Paris, turn up and do whatever you fancy, and because they're so close to each other, you can just hop between them. It's great. But where Disneyland is, Disney World is so big and there's so much to do, you definitely do need an itinerary, because I just think having that kind of outline of what you want to do, because like I said, I think planning too much can kill the vibe, and then it's like, okay, well, now we're kind of clock watching, and you miss out on all the little details. Like I like sometimes when you're walking in and you see the Dapper Dans, if you know you can just go in the park and enjoy it, you can go and listen to them. Or I love going to Casey's Corner for the pianist, like absolutely iconic, and you can miss out on all of these little things. I love the Janitors in Epcot, they are amazing. But like, you can so easily miss the live entertainment if you're thinking, right, I've got to rush to this ride. And that's something I have liked about getting older, because when I was younger, it was just all about the rides, and it was just like, gotta get to that one, gotta get to that one, gotta get to that one, and like all of the big rides, back to back to back, and you kind of miss out on so much. And like we were saying earlier, having that nice balance of doing shows and meet and greets and rides, it gives you that flow throughout the day, because you don't want high octane all day long, because you will immediately run out of energy and it's terrible. So when you can have that ebb and flow, it's just so nice. And I think the parks do that really well, because there's so many things you can go and do and experience. So like, I was obsessed with the Country Bear Jamboree. I did not realise I'd be this obsessed with it, but the new version, it's so good. It's so clever how they've incorporated the Disney songs. And it's great because you don't have to really wait for a long time. You go in, it's a super fun show. You get to sit down and be entertained, and then you're ready to go and do another queue and go on a ride, because you've had that little lull, that little break, and you get to go back out. And I just absolutely think Disney do that so well, because especially like somewhere like the UK, for example, if you go to Thorpe Park, there's no theming, there's really no shows, and it's just big coaster after big coaster. So you're in long queue after long queue after long queue. And over the course of a day, that becomes really draining. And also, you can feel sick if you're me. If you just go on big ride after big ride, I'm not enjoying the day anymore because I feel awful. So being able to kind of mix it up is so perfect. And that's the thing, like the shows in the Disney parks are like Broadway level. They're not like, oh, it's in a theme park, you know, just anything to, you know, people just want to sit down and be entertained. They're like, oh no, we're doing this. I think that's so good about it. And as I said, soaking up the atmosphere and seeing undocumented shows makes a trip. Yes, I think you're 100% true. Like, because, like you said, there's certain things you will find in the app. Like, okay, I want to see Beauty and the Beast show, fine. But, like, what are they called? The citizens of... I can't remember the name of the... But they were like characters who were from like the 50s who would hang out on Sunset Boulevard and you'd bump into them. And they didn't come back after the pandemic. I feel like they're back now. But like you say, the fact that they've got these kind of like pop-up shows that you don't even realise are going to happen, absolutely incredible. And if you're kind of running around, you really miss out on that. So like kind of getting to get a drink, mosey around and soak up the atmosphere is such a nice part of a Disney trip. And like, you could not do any rides and still have an amazing time. So I do think that's really good. And if you're a thrill seeker, there's stuff for you. If you don't like thrill rides, there's stuff for you. If you're 80, there's stuff for you. I would say if you're like a baby, I mean, I've literally seen newborn babies. I saw a newborn baby on Pirates of the Caribbean going down the drop, and I must just be thinking, what is happening? What is going on? There's a cannon. There's a pirate swinging over me. Like, it must just be baffled. But if you're a newborn baby, you get to do this. So I think that's what's really great. There is something for everyone. But I can't imagine. I mean, obviously, no one can remember being a newborn baby, but it must be wild that, like, 1 minute you're asleep in your hotel, and the next minute there's a pirate looking at you, and you're going down a drop. Like, that must be insane. What is happening? But yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think that's one of the reasons that we'll all keep going to Disney forever, because you could be, like I say, 80. I'm going to hire a mobility scooter, and I'm going to keep going. I think it'll be so much fun. And like I said, I think your priorities change, and the things you enjoy change. But it's nice because all throughout your life, the Disney parks are still giving you new things. Like, you're experiencing them in a new way. And I think, you know, when people go, why do you keep going? And I'm like, because it's always changing. And the things I like are always changing. And it's not like if you go to the same beach resort every year, it's nice because that you have that familiarity, but there's still new things. It's not like stagnant. So I'm like, that's why we go every year, guys. That's why we can't stop going. We're obsessed. It's amazing. It's so good. But thank you so much for joining me. This has been such a fun live stream, and it's been really nice to do something practical. Like I was saying to Marta, I will send over all of these plans and details so that if you do want to use any of them or anything that's been helpful, it'll be great to kind of hear about your trip. And I'm very, very excited for it. I can't wait to hear what it's like when you come back. It's just going to be absolutely awesome. And yeah, I love hearing about people's trips. If anyone is going, do let us know when you're going, what you're excited for. And yeah, it's never going to be boring, is it? Never ever going to be boring. Thank you so much, Marta. And yeah, thank you so much for volunteering for your trip to be the one that we talk about. And it's just going to be iconic. I think you've got such a great amount of time there. You've got so many cool things you want to do. Like the Keys tour, like I say, is absolutely amazing. It's something I don't actually do again. So even though, because I think also because you would have potentially different guides, you would probably get different information. And I was very lucky, the one I did, the lady had like a personal link to Disney because her dad had been an Imagineer, and when she was a child he would bring her to work and she would go around the park with Walt Disney himself. So she had these incredible stories, and I was like, I could just listen to this all day. It was absolutely amazing. And getting to go in the Utilidors, iconic. Who gets to do that? It's so cool. And again, that's what I think is great about Disney, is there's all of these different amazing backstage tours and experiences, or even stuff like getting your hair cut at Harmony Barbershop. There's so many cool things you can do, and that's why every single trip is almost like an entirely different trip, because you get to do all of these new things. But thank you so much, Anne-Marie. It's been so fun to do this live. It's been so good. And I definitely think going forward we should do more things like this, where it's like super interactive and we can plan things out or stuff like that. So I think it's just going to be so much fun. Oh, something I was going to mention is if you are around and able to get to London on the 19th of July, we are doing the Most Magical Meetup. So we are deep in the planning for that. It's going to be so fun to get to meet up with people. We're going to have 2 meetup times, one at 11 AM and one at 2 PM. You can stay as long as you want. They're not 2 separate meetups. They will blend into each other. But I wanted to do 2 times so that people that are travelling a bit further afield, they don't have to be getting up at the crack of dawn. Like, if they want to meet a bit later in the day, they've got the option. Of course, we're going to go to the Disney store, but we're also going to see some Disney filming locations in London and do a lot of just nice like icebreakers, because I think at the moment there's about 20 people coming, so it's going to be really nice to get to know other Disney fans and also finally get to meet face to face. I'm so excited. It's going to be great. So if you are around, do come to that. Hi Lisa, thank you so much. How was your trip? Lisa's just been on this absolutely iconic trip. It looked idyllic. It was so lovely, and I feel like you got off the plane and went straight to a festival, which I am so impressed with your energy, because I would flat out collapse. It's so amazing. Thank you so much, Karen. It's been so wonderful. I've loved this. This has been so good. Alison and Chris are coming, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. We got to meet in Disney World last year and had a lovely time in Animal Kingdom together, so I can't wait to meet up again. It's going to be so fun. Thank you so much, Leslie. And it's so fantastic. You're going to be in New York at the time. What shows are you seeing? This is something I love. Like, whenever I go to New York, I see a Broadway show every night. It's a problem because it's like an addiction. But if you're there, you want to go and experience it. So I'd love to know what you're going to go and see, because that's going to be so cool. Lisa says Cambodia was a dream and went to a festival afterwards. Not the best idea. But no, that's so hardcore. I absolutely love that. Just like, I'm getting off the plane and I'm going to a festival and it's going to be awesome. But yes, never fear that you're not around for the meetup, because it's a long way to come from Germany. But yeah, I just think it's going to be super fun. It's going to be really good. And the other things that are coming up, we're going to have a few more Disneyland Paris videos that I filmed whilst out there, so that was really nice actually, to kind of be able to film some practical things, like stuff like the lockers at the train station and things like that. The next video is going to be walking from the hotels to show you exactly how long it takes and the route that you will take, and then there's loads of fun facts along the way. It's a very different style of video to what I've done before. Absolutely loved editing it. It was so much fun. So that's going to be coming out this Wednesday. Then I'm going to have another video where I show you the cost of absolutely everything whilst I was in Disneyland Paris. So the cost of the trip itself, but then everything I spent on food, on drinks, all of the things whilst I was there, and I filmed it all in the parks, which is really fun. And then we're going to have brand new videos about Disney World, Disneyland. So if there's any topics or questions that you have, and it's like, how do you do this, or what's the best way to do that, do let me know, because I always want to be making videos that you would like to watch, of course. So if there's any topics you would like covered, do let me know. But I've got some ideas, and I think there's going to be some really interesting ones. Like I say, one of them's definitely going to be how to tackle Epcot once Test Track comes back, because that's going to kind of throw a spanner in the works, but it'll be an interesting way to start visiting. Oh, Leslie's going to go see Pirates Cabaret and Death Becomes Her. I'm so excited for you. I've seen the current Cabaret version, which is now on Broadway as well, twice, and it's absolutely incredible. It's so good. I am obsessed with Death Becomes Her. I would love to see that, so I cannot wait to hear what you think. Like, what amazing shows you're going to see. It's going to be awesome. And Lisa says we'll meet in Paris anyway, looking forward to it, which is so true. So this November, we're meeting up in Disneyland Paris, which I can't wait for. And it's going to be the Christmas season. Like, how awesome. I'm also going to Disneyland Paris for the Halloween season. So lots of great things coming up. And also for those trips, I'm staying at hotels I've never stayed at before, which I'm very excited for. Like, it's always so much fun when you get to do new things. So just so many more awesome things coming up. There's going to be way more vlogs towards the end of this year, which is going to be very cool. So yeah, it won't be too much longer till you get new vlogs. Which is going to be so good. But yeah, thank you so much for this. It's just the best. It's been such a fun live stream. Leslie says you're looking forward to Disneyland for the 70th anniversary in August. The 70th anniversary celebrations look fantastic, and I always love getting to visit during an anniversary year because there's just so many extra things, and I cannot wait. I think it's coming next month, is the Walt Disney Animatronic. And what an amazing way to kind of celebrate. So I really want to hear how it all is, Leslie. I think it's going to be so cool. But yes, thank you all so much. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning. Thank you so much for bearing with me. Now we'll go and sort out the thumbnail and all of that stuff that I already had set up. I had it all done. I'm going to have to do it again, but it's okay. We're going to go do that. But yes, thank you so much. This Wednesday we'll have another video. And then next month, the end of the month, final Sunday of the month, we will have another live stream. It will also be just after we've done the meetup in London. So I'm sure we will talk a bit about that. But again, if there's anything you would like for the theme or the topic of the live stream to be, do let me know. Do DM me on Instagram or write a comment under this video, because it's so nice to kind of be able to have a theme around the live streams, and it's just been so much fun. So thank you so much. And yeah, I hope you all have a great week. I hope that the heat wave dies down and we can all cool down. And yeah, I hope you have a lovely start to July. Where is the year gone? How are we basically 7 months in now? It's absolutely wild. What's going on? What is happening? But so much has happened as well, which is amazing. So thank you so much. And until next time, I hope you have the most magical day. I've never said that to end the live stream before. I don't know why. It's the obvious thing to do. So we should definitely do that going forward. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you again to Marta for allowing us to plan out your itinerary. It just sounds like the most iconic trip. So thank you so much. And yes, it was been absolutely wonderful, guys. And yeah, I will speak to you all very soon. And this is the awkward moment where I have to try and turn the thing off and I can never find the button. And I feel about 100 years old because I don't know how to use technology. So we all have to ignore the fact that I don't know what I'm doing and I can't see because I'm old. See you soon, guys. Yay, see you later.